What's the scariest thing about a small town? Is it the silence that swallows every sound? The way the shadows seem to move when you're not looking? Or the feeling that something knows your name and it's waiting for you? Tonight, we're diving deep into 5 true scary small-town horror stories that will claw at your nerves and make you question every creak in your house. These aren't urban legends or campfire tales. These are real accounts from real people who came face to face with the unexplainable and lived to tell about it. Barely. So lock your doors, turn off your lights, and don't look over your shoulder. Because once we start, there's no going back. Welcome to the nightmare. Let's begin. Small towns are America's heartbeat. Close-knit communities where everyone knows your name, your story, your secrets. But what happens when those secrets turn deadly? When the places you trust become traps. Our first story takes us to a town where the woods don't just whisper, they scream. Story 1. The Whispering Woods, Black Hollow, Maine. Population, 312. A speck on the map, surrounded by miles of wilderness. It's the kind of place where kids ride bikes until dusk, and neighbors share pies on Sundays. But just beyond the town's edge lies the Black Hollow Woods, a place locals avoid after dark. They say the woods are alive, that the trees listen, that the ground remembers. Most folks laugh it off until they hear the stories. Stories like Sarah Miller's. It was October 2017. Sarah was a senior in high school, known for her bravery. She wasn't afraid of the dark or the woods. Until that night. She'd been at her friend Jenny's house, laughing over pizza and scary movies. But it was getting late, and her curfew was 11:30. The quickest way home? A half-mile shortcut through the Black Hollow Woods. Sarah had taken this path dozens of times. It was just trees, she told herself. Just the wind. But that night, the woods felt different. The air was thick, like it was pressing against her skin. Her flashlight flickered, casting jagged shadows that seemed to twist and writhe. She ignored it at first, kept walking, humming to calm her nerves. But then, she heard it. A whisper, soft, like a child's voice, drifting from the trees. Her name, clear as day. Sarah froze, her heart slamming in her chest. She swung her flashlight around, the beam slicing through the darkness. Nothing. Just trees. Just fog. She told herself. It was her imagination. A trick of the wind. But the whispers didn't stop. They grew louder, more voices joining in, overlapping in a sickening chorus. Sarah, stay with us. Don't leave. Sarah's legs trembled. She started walking faster, her flashlight shaking in her hand. The path seemed longer now, the trees closer, their branches reaching like skeletal hands. And then she heard something else. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate crunching behind her. She broke into a run, her breath ragged, her sneakers pounding the dirt. The footsteps kept pace, growing louder, closer. Whatever it wasn't human. It was hunting her. Sarah stumbled, her flashlight dropping to the ground. She scrambled to pick it up, her hands shaking as she swung the beam behind her. For a split second, she saw it. A shape, tall and thin, with eyes that glowed like dying embers. Sarah screamed, bolting toward the town's edge. She could feel it behind her, its presence like ice on her neck. When she finally burst out of the woods collapsing on the grass, the footsteps stopped. The woods were silent, still. Like nothing had happened, Sarah made it home that night, but she wasn't the same. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. She started having nightmares, voices calling her back to the woods, hands grabbing her in the dark. Her parents thought it was stress, a bad scare. But then, they saw the marks, Scratches on her arms, her back, her legs. Marks she didn't remember getting. Marks that looked like something had tried to drag her back into the woods and wasn't done with her yet. The Black Hollow Woods have been cursed for centuries. Settlers in the 1700s wrote about voices in the trees, children vanishing. Some say it's the land itself, angry, alive. Others say it's something older, something that feeds on fear. Sarah's family moved away in 2018. She never went near the woods again. But even now, years later, she says she hears the whispers, in her dreams, in the quiet of her apartment, calling her name. What was in the Black Hollow Woods? A ghost? A demon? Or something that's been there since the earth was young, waiting for someone to answer its call? The woods aren't the only place where darkness hides. Our next story proves that sometimes the scariest things in small towns are watching you from just outside your window. Story 2. The Man in the Window, Ellsburg, Iowa. A town so small, it feels like time forgot it. No stoplights, no chain stores, just a handful of streets and a diner that's been there since the 1950s. In 2019, the Carter family moved here from Chicago, chasing a simpler life. John, Emily, and their 8-year-old daughter, Lily. They thought they'd found their forever home. Until Lily started talking about the man in the window. It started small. Lily would draw her pictures, flowers, rainbows, her dog, and casually mention, "The man's watching me again." Emily, Lily's mom, thought it was just a kid's imagination. Maybe a neighbor walking by, or a shadow from the oak tree outside. She'd smile, ruffle Lily's hair, and say, "There's no man, sweetie." But Lily was insistent. "He's always there," she said. "He smiles, but he doesn't have a face." John, Lily's dad, started checking the yard at night. He'd take a flashlight, walk the perimeter of the house, even look under the bushes. Nothing. No footprints. No signs of anyone. But Lily's stories got worse. She said the man tapped on the glass, whispered her name, said he wanted to be her friend. Emily tried to stay calm. Kids make things up, right? But she started noticing things. The curtains in the living room would move, even when the windows were closed. The air felt colder by the window, like something was pressing against the glass. And Lily's drawings. They were all of the same faceless man. One night, Emily woke up to Lily screaming. She ran to her daughter's room, her heart pounding. Lily was sitting up in bed, pointing at the window, tears streaming down her face. "He's here. He's here." Emily looked outside. The street was silent, the neighbor's porch light casting long shadows. But then, she saw it. A figure. Tall, impossibly thin, standing just beyond the streetlight. Its head was tilted, like it was staring right at her. She blinked, and it was gone. Emily tried to convince herself it was a trick of the light. A neighbor, maybe. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The next morning, John checked the yard again. That's when they found it. Scratches. On the outside of Lily's window. Deep, uneven, like someone had dragged a knife across the glass. But the marks were too high. 7 feet off the ground. No ladder. No footprints. The Carters called the police, but there was nothing to go on. No evidence, no witnesses. The officer suggested it might be a prank, but his eyes lingered on the scratches, his face pale. Neighbor, that house, it's always been strange. Before the Carters, another family lived there. They had a little boy. He used to talk about a man, too. They moved away fast, never said why. The Carters didn't wait for answers. They packed their bags and moved out, a month later. They never told Lily why, but Emily says she still checks the windows every night. And sometimes, in new towns, Lily will point at a window and whisper, He's back. Who was the man in the window? A ghost? A stalker? Or something that only shows itself to those who can't fight back? Some secrets are buried deep. Our next story takes us to a place where the dead don't rest, and the living aren't safe. Story 3. The Graveyard Watcher, Willow Creek, Kentucky. A town built on coal and faith, with a cemetery older than the Civil War. Locals call it the Hollow Ground, and they don't go there after dark, not because of ghosts, at least not the kind you'd expect. Because of the Watcher. Jake Thompson was a local kid with a taste for adventure. He loved exploring abandoned buildings, posting videos of his urban exploring on YouTube. In October 2021, he heard about the Hollow Ground. Rumors of strange lights, voices, and a figure that followed you through the tombstones. Jake didn't believe in ghosts. He saw a chance for views. Jake went live on his channel, joking about the spooky vibes. He read old gravestones, made fun of the rumors, and dared the ghosts to show themselves. His viewers loved it, flooding the chat with laughing emojis. But about 20 minutes in, things changed. Jake's live stream cut out, just static. His viewers thought it was a bad signal. When it came back, Jake wasn't joking anymore. He was whispering, his flashlight shaking. "There's someone here," he said. "I saw him. He's watching me." The figure didn't move. It just stood there, its face hidden in shadow. Jake's voice cracked as he backed away. "He's getting closer," he said. "He's not moving, but he's closer." Jake's viewers were split. Some thought it was a prank. Others begged him to run. The chat exploded with messages. "Get out! It's behind you!" Jake kept filming, his flashlight darting around. And then, he screamed. The livestream froze. When it came back, the phone was on the ground, its flashlight illuminating a single gravestone. Jake was gone. Police found Jake's phone the next morning, still recording. There was no sign of him, no footprints, no blood, no clues. Just the phone, and that gravestone. Locals say the Hollow Ground has always been strange. In the 1800s, gravediggers reported tools moving on their own. Visitors saw lights dancing among the tombs. And always, the feeling of being watched. Groundskeeper. I've seen him. The Watcher. Tall, in a long coat. He doesn't speak, doesn't move, but you feel him, like he's inside your head. Jake's disappearance is still unsolved. His family put up flyers, but the town doesn't talk about it. Some say he ran away. Others say the Hollow Ground took him. And late at night, people still see lights in the cemetery, and a figure standing among the graves. What is the Watcher? A spirit? A curse? Or something that guards the Hollow Ground and doesn't let go? In small towns, strangers stand out. But what happens when a stranger isn't just out of place, but out of this world? Story 4. The Smiling Stranger. Red Pine, Montana. A town of 800 souls, where the biggest event is the annual Pie Festival. At the heart of it all is Millie's Diner, a place where locals gather for coffee and gossip. In November 2018, a stranger walked into Millie's and left a mark no one could forget. Clara, the waitress, was working the late shift. She was used to odd customers, truckers, drifters, the occasional lost tourist. But this man was different. He was tall, pale, with eyes that seemed too big, too bright. And his smile, it was wrong. Too wide, too still. Clara tried to be polite, took his order, a black coffee, and went back to cleaning. But every time she looked up, he was staring at her, not blinking, just smiling. The other customers noticed it too. The diner grew quiet, the usual chatter replaced by an uneasy silence. An old regular, Hank, leaned over to Clara and whispered, "That ain't no man. Get him out." Clara didn't know what to do. She couldn't just kick him out. He hadn't done anything wrong. But the air felt heavy, like a storm was brewing inside the diner. The lights flickered. The jukebox skipped. And the stranger kept smiling. Around midnight, the last customers left. Clara was alone with the stranger. She told him they were closing, her voice trembling. He didn't move, just tilted his head, his smile stretching impossibly wide. And then he spoke. Clara's blood turned to ice. She backed away, grabbing her phone to call the sheriff. But the line was dead. The lights flickered again, plunging the diner into darkness for a split second. When they came back on, the stranger was standing right in front of her. Clara ran to the storage room, locking the door behind her. She could hear him outside, humming a soft, tuneless melody, tapping on the door. "Clara, open the door. Let me see you." She stayed there all night, curled up on the floor, praying for morning. When the sun finally rose, the tapping stopped. Clara crept out, her heart pounding. The diner was empty. The stranger was gone. But he'd left something behind. Clara quit that day. She left Red Pine and never went back. But she says she still feels him sometimes, watching her, smiling. I was there that night. That thing wasn't human. Its eyes, its smile, it wasn't right. And the way it looked at Clara like it was hungry. Who was the smiling stranger? A drifter with a twisted mind? A ghost? Or something that wears a human face to get close to its prey? Our final story is a reminder that sometimes the things we fear most are right next door. Story 5. The House. Next door Fairview, Oregon. Postcard-perfect town with picket fences and friendly neighbors. In 2020, the Parker family moved here from Seattle, ready for a quieter life. David, Rachel, and their 10-year-old son, Max. Their new house was a dream. 2 stories, a big backyard, a treehouse for Max. But the house next door, it was a nightmare. The house was old, its paint peeling, its windows boarded up. Weeds choked. The yard and the air around it felt wrong. The neighbors warned the Parkers to stay away. "No one's lived there in years," they said. "Not since the incident. In 1993, a family lived in that house. A mother, a father, and their 8-year-old son, Tommy. One night they disappeared. No bodies, no note, no trace. The police searched for weeks, but the case went cold. Locals whispered about strange noises from the house, crying, laughter, footsteps, long after it was empty. The Parkers tried to ignore the stories. They focused on settling in, painting walls, planting flowers. But Max started acting strange. He'd sit in the backyard, staring at the house next door. One day, Rachel overheard him talking to himself. "He looks like me," Max said. "The boy in the window." Rachel thought it was a game. Kids have imaginary friends, right? But Max's stories got darker. He said the boy wanted him to come inside, said the house was lonely. Rachel and David checked the house themselves, peering through the boards. It was empty, dusty, abandoned. But things started happening. Objects moved in the Parkers' house, keys on the counter one minute, in the attic the next. Footsteps echoed upstairs at night, and Max's drawings, they were all of the same boy, pale, with hollow eyes and a sad smile. One night, Rachel woke up to silence, too silent. She checked Max's room, and he was gone. His bed was empty, his window open. Panic clawed at her chest as she searched the house, calling his name. Then she saw it. The back door was ajar, and small footprints led straight to the house next door. Every instinct screamed at Rachel to run, to call the police, to get help. But her son was in there. She pushed open the door, the hinges groaning, like a dying animal. Inside, the air was thick, sour, like something had rotted long ago. Rachel called Max's name, her voice echoing unnaturally. The house felt alive, its walls pulsing with a faint hum. She heard a whisper, soft and cold. "He's ours now." Rachel followed the sound to the basement, her flashlight barely cutting through the darkness. There, in a corner, was Max, curled, up, shaking. His eyes were wide, staring at something Rachel couldn't see. "He wants me to stay," Max whispered. "He says I belong here." Rachel dragged Max out, her heart pounding. The house seemed to fight her, the air growing heavier, the whispers louder. When they finally stumbled outside, the sun was rising. The house was silent again, its windows dark. The Parkers left Fairview that week. They never went back. Max is in therapy now, but he still wakes up screaming. And sometimes, in the dead of night, he says he sees the boy, standing at the foot of his bed, smiling. What was in the house next door? The ghost of Tommy, trapped forever. A memory of the family that vanished? Or something older? Something that claims anyone who gets too close? Small towns are supposed to be safe. A place to raise your kids, to know your neighbors, to feel at home. But these stories remind us that darkness doesn't need a big city to thrive. It's in the woods. The windows, the graves, the diners, and the houses right next door. Which of these stories will keep you up tonight? Drop it in the comments. And if you've got your own small-town horror story, share it. I might feature it in a future video. If you felt the chills, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a scare. And if you're watching this alone, in the dark, maybe check your locks, just in case.